Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for January 4th. January 4th is the fourth day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, and in most years there would be 361 days remaining until the end of the year, but this is a leap year, so there are 362 days remaining until the end of the year. We're on the last of our Sanskrit words right now. As I've mentioned before, Sanskrit is an ancient Indian language that has given many words to English directly, such as orange, nirvana, mantra, and also indirectly, such as guru, Colt, and jute, by way of its daughter languages, or by way of another language which borrowed them from Sanskrit, such as Zen, candy, or lilac. Today's word is nirvana. Nirvana is a noun meaning freedom from the endless cycle of birth and death and related suffering, or an idealized state or place free of pain, worries, etc. The beatitude that transcends the cycle of reincarnation, characterized by the extinction of desire and suffering and individual consciousness. This comes from the Sanskrit word nirvana, which means blowing out, extinguishing, extinction. Nirvana is considered to be a place of perfect peace and happiness like heaven. In Hinduism and Buddhism, nirvana is the highest state that one can attain, a state of enlightenment, meaning a person's individual desires and suffering go away. And I think that's about enough about nirvana for now. I want to remind you that links to my research are included in the show notes. So if you're curious about where I got anything, you can find my sources there. While we're talking about show notes, I'd like to encourage you to go ahead and give this video a like. As some of the YouTubers I watch will say, smash that like button. I'd also be interested to hear your comments about the material I cover. If you have any additional information or opinions or anecdotes about these things, you can tell me about them in the comments. And with that, we're going to start in the year 1809, when a little boy named Louis Braille was born on January 4th of 1809. He was blinded in both eyes as a result of an early childhood accident and was able to go to France's Royal Institute for Blind Youth, where he began to develop a system of tactile code that one could follow with the fingertips to help blind people read. There had previously been some tactile methods to try to help people read, but they were cumbersome or complicated. And so Braille worked on those ideas and developed his own system, and had mostly completed his system by the time he was 15. He went on to become a teacher at that blind school, and he continued working on his system of tactile letters, which are simply called Braille nowadays. He continued working on that system until his death. The Braille system remains virtually unchanged to this day. Louis Braille died at the relatively young age of 43 from tuberculosis. In honor of his lifetime and accomplishments, January 4th is World Braille Day. On January 4th, 1847, Samuel Colt sold his first revolvers to the U.S. government. He rescued the future of his faltering company by securing a contract to provide the U.S. government with 1,000 of his .44 caliber revolvers. In 1913, German military strategist Alfred von Schlieffen died. He was the mastermind of an aggressive German military strategy that would soon be used in a modified form at the start of the Great War. But he died on this day in 1913 in Berlin. On January 4th of 1965, in his State of the Union address, President Lyndon Baines Johnson laid out for Congress a laundry list of legislation that he wanted to achieve in what he called his plan for a great society. He'd been enthusiastically voted into office as president in the heartbroken aftermath of the loss of John Kennedy. He used that enthusiasm as a mandate to push these improvements that he believed would better Americans' quality of life. On this day in 1974, President Nixon refused to hand over tape recordings and documents that had been subpoenaed by the Senate Watergate Committee. In 1996, General Motors announced at the Greater Los Angeles Auto Show that it would be building an electric car. Electric cars were not unheard of, but they weren't very common or popular just yet. In 1999, the euro debuted. 11 nations adopted a single currency, the euro. Also in 1999, former professional wrestler Jesse Ventura was sworn in as governor of Minnesota in the United States. And that's all I have for you today. Again, links to my research are included in the show notes. Thanks for watching. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and feel free to share this video. While you're on the internet, check out my other channel, 8 Susquehanna. There's a link to that in the show notes as well. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Hey, Sully. Authoritarian and corrupt. My salmon's done. I'll be right back. Barking dog. Alrighty. Back to work. Okie dokie, Smokey. That's a lot of words. I'm gonna have to look at that. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? She's not a man. See, this is what happens when we're not scripted. Anyway, this is a pretty amazing app, and I'm experimenting with it a little bit, and I'm going to stop recording now and see what it looks like. This is why I don't do live shows.